lest you think that Greg Cote doesn't care deeply about sports, he just spent the time before we turned on these microphones telling me in very strong terms, because he's been aggressive today, there are 6 teams that can win the Super Bowl and only 6.
Yep.
And he is insistent that the Dolphins are one of them. He will not backtrack from that position. Stugotz and I were arguing during the break about whether or not anyone has said this season that the Dallas Cowboys are the best team in the NFL. Stugotz looked up some stats of Dallas playing San Francisco and Buffalo and losing by a combined score of 72-10.
73-20, I believe. That's a fine. And what I said was, listen, after they beat Philadelphia and they were coming to play Miami because they never beat the Eagles.
Very likely will be Baltimore or San Francisco.
Wait, hold on. Greg, we got to do a top 5 list with an OLI.
Okay.
So start with your OLI.
top 6.
But when we were doing it, the thing is, when I was asking him, we turned on the microphones and he was discombobulated because he said there were only 6 and then named 4.
He also just spoiled 1 and 2. So.
I didn't hear it.
I may change my mind.
That's all that matters.
This feels like a bunch of commoners telling Leonardo da Vinci how to paint. This is absurd.
Thank you, Billy.
All right.
What a great analogy.
So name the other 4.
Well, let's just do it correctly then. OLI then. The 6 teams that can win the Super Bowl, according to Greg Cote, outside looking in. I don't know if this should be outside looking in on the 6 or whether this should be
No, he said
number
6. This should be 7.
All right. Thank you.
Top 6
But there's a tie at 1, so things are confusing.
Okay, yes, there
All right,
are.
am I going
which
7
is,
or
I,
6?
which is I know is a favorite of yours. I know that's where you want us to live.
Confused?
Now, well, look at him. Now he's writing it down. And as I told you,
This is what you guys ask for.
And he says, am I going 7 or 6?
It's not what I asked for.
I did ask for it.
Thank you, Jess.
But what I asked him is before we started the segment.
I didn't ask for any of this.
I didn't ask for any of this.
I did.
That is correct. That's
And
what
I did.
happened.
Yeah.
But, okay, but Smitty, you and Greg Cote, we should not live perpetually in the service of your judgments. At least in part, because if
about that,
he's
Jim.
if he's your ally, Jess.
And you know it.
Zagak.
Greg's right.
Thank you.
Hee-haw 3.
Back row. Back
Back
row Smetty.
that kind of thing. All right, you want me to start with 7 or 6? Let's have 2 OLIs.
Oh, wow. 8.
Yeah. No, 7.
Oh.
Because it's a top 5.
You said 6.
Well, that's 1 OLI.
If you have a tie for 1, you can just have number 5.
You guys, I hate you guys so much, all of you.
Should we go back to playoff
All of
permutations in
you.
the
No,
NFC? Because I don't feel like we got to those enough yesterday.
Would you prefer syphilis or gonorrhea, Dan? Which one? Which one would you rather have?
Definitely gonorrhea.
What about all that love stuff you were talking about with Reese Davis?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was him who said.
Just remember, Greg, if there's 2 1s, there's no number 2.
Trust me, you don't
Correct.
want the clap.
All right.
No, I want 1 through 5 with 2 OLIs.
Okay.
Can we do that?
So now 5 teams. Okay.
No.
That would be 7.
Okay.
Yeah.
But 5 teams have a chance.
Yes, correct.
Okay.
Well, I thought 6
thought
teams
it was
had a
6
chance.
teams
Yeah.
had a chance.
No, 5 have a chance.
Right.
With 2 OLIs on the periphery.
You said before the segment started,
I winnowed.
The rare top 7.
I winnowed.
it's
What?
not a top
He
7.
winnowed, Dan.
Opinions change.
What does windowed mean?
What
Winnowed.
Winnowed means he's like sculpting. He's
Right.
sculpting his list, but this is the problem with it. He said before the segment that he had 6 teams, and then I asked him, what were they? And he can only come up with 4. And now he can only come up with 5. He doesn't have 6 teams.
I've researched it since then.
It seems like he has 7. I mean,
I do. I have. How many times can I make this clear? I have a top 5 and a 2-team OLI.
got it.
That's it.
But you said before the segment that there were 6 teams that
He
could win the
winnowed.
Super
Times
Bowl.
Semantics,
change.
Dan.
Things change.
Winnowed.
Right. I
So,
winnowed.
so in the last 90 seconds, one of the teams fell out of the playoffs and
Correct.
had their season ended.
I'll also, if you don't get to it soon, he may winnow again, Dan. So
Damn
we might
right
as well
I
get
could.
to it. Yeah.
You ready? We got that big band sound, the big brassy sound.
OLI.
OLI. Detroit and Kansas City.
Wow.
You didn't have the sound, and you're supposed to do it in a cadence that allows us one after the other.
Number 5. Dallas. Number 4. Buffalo. Number 3, Miami has the Dolphins. Number 2, San Francisco.
Obvious list ever.
And number 1, Baltimore.
Eagles have no shot.
No, they just missed. There's a lot of good teams.
So the
that
Dolphins have a shot, but not the Eagles.
Yeah,
But
a lot
Buffalo's number 4, even though they might not even make it in.
correct, because if they do make it in,
Dangerous.
watch out.
Yeah.
You know.
And what is the distinction or difference that you're making between Detroit and Miami?
I think Detroit has an overrated defense. I think Miami's got a better defense. And again, I grant you, I'm coming off a 56-point game, blah, blah, blah. And they have injuries. And they have injuries.
I don't know why you'd believe in the Dolphins any more than Detroit. Those seem about the same.
You think Goff's as good as Tua? I don't.
I think their offensive coordinator is about to make Belichick money, $15 million a year because of what they've made of that
You think
offense
they have
around
you
Goff.
think they have a Tyreek Hill? I don't.
I mean, they kind of do.
Yeah?
They kind of do, yes.
Okay. Do you think they have a running back who scored 21 touchdowns?
They've got
Probably
a good,
not.
They've got a good running back. Like, okay.
Mostert didn't play last game.
I understand that.
Right.
No, Detroit's good, but you gotta earn. You gotta be there.
How about the Browns?
That doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, it does.
What does that mean as analysis?
Okay,
You got to
first-
earn, you got to be there. Like you petered out
all
there.
right,
You
listen to
look,
me.
you petered. I was listening.
All right,
to
look
you.
here.
Saying that my
And you
entire
said
life.
you
Gotta want to earn.
You got to earn.
wanna learn,
You
gotta wanna earn.
you-
He's right.
I've been saying that today. You gotta want to learn. Gotta want to earn. Listen, Detroit made my OLA. I'm not OLI. I'm not disrespecting Detroit. I am disrespecting Cleveland because they don't have a quarterback who's capable of winning a lot in the playoffs.
He won a Super Bowl.
Flacco. Listen.
What do you really got checkmated. Do you realize it's like watching?
No. In fairness, that's everyone's response when you're like, Joe Flacco's a Super Bowl winner. You're like, oh,
Flacco was a passenger
Nobody said
on
he
that
can't
Super
win
Bowl
in the
train.
playoffs. Okay?
It's a great dismissal.
I honestly
Dan.
agree with my dad there. I mean,
Thank
come on.
you.
How long can we do this
Flacco.
for? It's Flacco.
It's Flacco.
He won in the playoffs. You can't say that the guy who won the Super Bowl can't win in the playoffs.
He's Trent Dilfer. His team won in the playoffs. Okay, he's Joe.
10 years ago.
He continues to be Joe Flacco. I'm just saying. But, they were just outside. They'd have been 8.
Gotta
That'd have
wanna
been
earn.
my-
really?
Exactly.
OLI.
Not Philadelphia, huh?
OLI. Or ROLI. ROLI. ROLI, real outside looking in.
OLI.
oh, OLI.
Right.
Outside
Who else
looking
is
in.
on my
Yeah.
ROLI?
Who's on the roller?
Kansas City, Cleveland. Jacksonville might be on my ROLI.
Maybe. Give it some time.
The Rams, they're coming on.
Uh-huh.
Rams would be on my Oli.
Yeah.
ROLI the Oli.
Oh,
Correct.
right. But you have the Chiefs with a chance to win the Super Bowl?
I have them as my 6th team, so, take that for what it's worth. I don't. To me, Kansas City and Philadelphia have been the 2 big disappointments this year. Keeping in mind, Philly was once 10-1, and now they're taking a crap, public crap.
Greg, I think they're 11-3, aren't they?
No, they've lost.
11-5, excuse me.
11-5.
Yes.
So
but they went to the Super Bowl a year ago.
So they're 1-4. They've lost 4 of their last 5. Yeah, I get that. I get that. And Hurts has had a pretty good year.
Yeah.
But their defense has not been really good. So I just don't give them a big chance.
So the Dolphins have a better chance than the team that went to the Super Bowl a year ago.
Yeah, 100%.
I think I'm with you.
Yeah.
I like what Greg did there, though, because it does sort of feel like the college football playoff a little bit. The reason you have the Dolphins at 3, all right, because they lost to the number 1. So it's okay. They lost to the best team in the Ravens. So why are we going to lose faith?
Quality loss.
Quality
Good loss.
losses.
It was.
Everyone loves
Yes.
a quality loss.
And other than losing to Tennessee at home, which was a complete aberration, their other losses have been quality losses.
And they were coming off a quality win before that. So they got the
Correct.
quality win over the Cowboys
Right.
and then the quality loss to back it up. I mean, nothing better than that
The
combo.
Dolphins could also have an easy path to the AFC Championship game. Then you only need to win one game.
But
to
that's
get
why
to the Super
Greg.
Bowl.
That's why Greg is saying this week's game is so important.
Yeah.
Perhaps the
One-
most
one of the
important
most
game in
important
Dolphin
ever.
history. Yes. Because if they don't win this game, they're not going on the road and they're not getting to the AFC Championship game.
Yeah.
Right.
And-
That's
and-
your thought.
Yeah, and that's the way I judge this team. I think the season has been that good. And I think Tua and Tyreek have been magical. And I think if you don't reach the AFC Championship game, it's a disappointment. If they win one playoff game and then lose, I don't see that that's all that they could have been. You know?
What do you mean?
I mean, they have to get to the AFC Championship
For this
game
to be a good season, they
be
have to
judged.
get to the AFC
Yes,
Championship
I think
game.
so.
All right.
For me.
For me, if they win a playoff game, we're taking a step in the right direction.
It's progress.
Like
for
I'm
sure.
with you. One playoff win and then
Such
a
a
loss.
loser mentality,
I'm just
Chris.
saying we're trying to.
That's a
we're-
huge disappointment
No, we're
for a
trying to move
season.
this way. We haven't won a playoff game barely in my lifetime. Okay,
Right.
if we win a playoff game, that'll be something.
Right.
If
No,
not
you're
now,
right.
when?
That's the thing.
We should play that game in the next segment.
Oh, I'd like to play that game. This should be the Dolphins' year, though, right? I mean, this is the best chance they've had at winning a Super Bowl in 25
Yes,
years.
Correct. Yeah, longer.
This is the
In-
new and unimproved Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz. Gamble on by DraftKings.
I would urge you, if you're interested in such things, and I know the NFL has been obsessed with Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift, to read an article in the New York Times that explains how Travis Kelce's management team, since he was in college, has worked with him and toward the objective of making him as famous as The Rock. How orchestrated it has been, though they take great pains to exclude the Taylor Swift part of it from the article, but how orchestrated his 7 commercials this year have been, because he is teetering on the line between hugely popular and enough with Travis Kelce already because he's so ubiquitous. And it has been orchestrated in a way that I was a little bit surprised, perhaps I should not have been, okay, that he has 4 agents and has added creative artist agency, a different agency, because he wants to get into film. He's got a team around him that is substantive. It's not a small thing. His team is a creative strategist. It's a community outreach coordinator. It's a Los Angeles-based publicist. 4 agents is unusual, Stugotz.
It is, but when you're trying to build a career after your football career and you're Travis Kelce, who's a massive star and has become an even bigger star, it kind of makes sense. I do find it funny that that team is now concerned about overexposure and the fact that America might be starting to hate Travis Kelce. To me, you didn't see that coming. You're his team. You didn't see that coming 3 months ago. I tried to tell you 3 months ago.
Isn't every mission statement for a marketing team to make them as famous as possible? This seems pretty obvious. His marketing team wants him to be famous.
But it's a big team, is my point, and they've been successful in ways that are surprising. Tight ends don't get 7 commercials before Taylor Swift.
And I think it's also there's a difference between trying to make your client as famous as they can be and having the aspirations of one of the most famous people then outside of your sport, because not everybody is as charismatic as Travis Kelce. When he hosted SNL, it was funny. He's a funny guy. He had the ability from a younger age to have those types of aspirations and then becoming as successful as he was on the field. And now, in this article that you mentioned, Dan, they said game shows are something they would consider. This guy wants to kind of conquer
Was he
any
drafted
given side.
in our game show host draft? I don't think he was drafted.
Neither was
been a
Tony.
really good one.
Neither was Tony Reale, which surprised me.
Wow.
I remember not that long ago on one of these shows. I'm going to say it's Netflix, a Space Force show with Steve Carell. Was it with Steve Carell?
Yeah, Steve Carell.
No, but I don't know if that's the one that Travis Kelce was in. There was another space show that I was surprised because it was my first indoctrination to, Travis Kelce wants some things that don't have anything to do with football.
He was on Moonbase 8
That's the show. Moonbase 8.
with
And-
John C. Reilly and Fred Armisen.
Yes. And I was surprised.
You watched that?
I saw that episode, and I'm like, there's Travis Kelce on the moon. Didn't expect to see him there. But I also didn't expect to see him in a show about going to the moon. But this was before this all exploded in a way that makes him one of the signature personalities, not just in that sport, not just in sports. They were trying to make him as famous as The Rock, and he might not be there yet, but he's around there. In terms of most famous people inside or outside of sports right now, if you're Taylor Swift adjacent this way, you get to be as famous as anybody who's walking on this side of the world.
Is he more famous than Patrick Mahomes? Is he the most famous guy on his team? I think he might be.
Stugotz, Lamar Jackson doesn't have any of those commercials.
Right.
The guys who get those commercials are the quarterbacks and just some of the quarterbacks.
Lamar Jackson, by all reports, also doesn't have a team of people that are trying to get in those commercials.
That's
so
correct.
Like, that is part of it as well.
That's correct. But my point in sending you to the New York Times article is, if you're cynical about this, go look at how orchestrated it actually was, because that team has achieved what it wished to achieve almost exactly.
What's kind of amazing about that, though, is that the biggest thing that's launched him into this extra level of superstardom was just like a friendship bracelet joke made about Taylor Swift on a podcast. And then that turned into them meeting each other and them dating, which has really taken him to another level. He was already, I guess, by that construction, famous enough to be able to enter that stratosphere. But really the thing that's taken off wasn't constructed at all. It was just a date that's turned into a relationship.
Listen, I try not to be overly cynical because I think cynicism is corrosive. But in this case, if you're a football player who is evidently hell-bent on becoming a big star beyond football, one of the best pathways to that is to have Taylor Swift as your girlfriend.
Okay, that's a very obvious thing to say, but this was all orchestrated before that was a possibility.
Okay,
But without that happening, this wouldn't be where he was at.
Well, I think the 7 commercials and the Moon Show were before Taylor Swift. Like, he was
Had a 6-episode run, that Moon Show.
Not exactly
2020,
a big
you
success.
can't count. There were so many shows in 2020 that didn't last.
This could also just be a guy who, compared to Lamar Jackson, gets a quarter of his contract. Kelce's contract is for $57 million. Lamar Jackson's getting $200 million. You can make the all guaranteed. Lamar Jackson doesn't need, not that Kelce needs it, but comparatively, he's trying to he could just be trying to maximize money. This could just be all about money.
He wants to be famous. That's fine.
How would he convince Taylor Swift to like him back in this like cynical worldview? I'm just curious.
What's in it for Taylor to like do this for Travis?
I don't know. I'm just saying.
Bamboozle. He put like a love spell on her.
Look, prior to and I
seen
hadn't
his
read
eyes?
that article, prior to hearing how hell-bent he is to be a big star, I had no cynicism about
Well,
that
what's wrong with
relationship.
that, though? Just explain. As if you wouldn't want that. As if you wouldn't do the same thing. As if you've said you want to be president of the United States just so you can have a staff.
Yeah,
that's a
exactly.
thing. That's a
Right.
thing that you've said.
Yeah.
We'll buy you a staff.
Would you date Taylor Swift?
No, I don't
Is
mean
what
a
Dan's asking,
staff. I
Greg.
mean like people, like PAs.
Ask that again, Billy?
Didn't even hear you. Do you
Dan's
realize? No,
asking.
I heard what you said. I'd prefer he not answer that. Thank you. I was grateful that he didn't answer it. I was hoping it would escape without being answered.
I doubled
but
down.
yes, Stugotz always there for me in ways that hurt and aren't useful in any way.
Love you too.
I want a Gandalf staff. I'll become president to get one of those.
There you go.
Why are you judging him for wanting to be famous? What's wrong with wanting to be famous, especially if that's the thing that makes you popular these days with young people and makes you have a cultural relevance? You have Elon Musk and Zuckerberg trying desperately to buy popularity and fame.
Right. I have nothing against Travis Kelce. I'm not claiming that his relationship with Taylor Swift is designed to make him more famous.
It makes you wonder, though.
It makes you wonder. Yeah. It makes me wonder. Doesn't mean it has to make you wonder. It does make me wonder.
It's important that you think about these things at your age. The love life, like sticking our nose in the love life of Travis Kelce.
But people are asking that question, Dan. Is this real love? Is this contrived?
Okay,
Is it real?
Yes, that's fine.
Right.
They've been asking it for many weeks. I'm just sending you to an article that is pre the thought of, the best way to get famous, make it a giant pop star that you're dating. Yes.
But Greg's a journalist. Skepticism's a tenet of journalism, is it not?
It is. That's a fair comment,
Well,
Billy.
I wanted to talk about something. Thank you, Billy, because
There's a
Greg.
difference between skepticism and cynicism.
What is the difference, Greg? Just like genuinely asking.
I think
to you.
For me, skepticism is
Your
a-
political party.
is a healthy questioning of something. Cynicism is sort of the preconceived belief that something is wrong. That cynicism is just an exaggerated form of skepticism for me.
Skepticism has a K.
That too.
Yeah.
Well, so does cynicism. I'm just kidding. Someone's gonna take that serious. Whatever.
Go ahead and go to the penalty box.
Oh, wow. Back row, Smitty.
I gotta finish the crossword anyways.
The thing that I wanted to discuss with Greg Cote, as he wants to be a healthy skeptic and cynic
Well, healthy.
in the name of journalism is he is desperately obsessed with whatever it is he needs to write that will get clicks, and they are measuring the clicks. And so when he writes about the Panthers and it does not get clicks, and he writes about the Orange Bowl and it does get clicks, that doesn't seem like journalism to me. That doesn't seem like healthy journalistic tenets. That seems like the death of writing and journalism as I know it.
And when you say that I'm desperate for clicks, you could not be more wrong. My company is desperate for clicks. My boss is desperate for clicks. I resist that notion. But it comes up when I'm chided for not covering more Marlins games than I do. Okay, because the reality is this. If I write about the Marlins or the Panthers, it does very low traffic. If I write about the Dolphins or the Heat or Hurricanes football or lately Inter Miami because of Messi, it does very good traffic. So the temptation is to write about nothing but the top draw teams. However, I just wrote an obituary column in Farewell to Jim Martz, one of my mentors at the Herald, who hired me at the Herald. I knew it was not going to do much readership. It's been very low on clicks, I'm sad to say, but I knew that, and I wrote it anyway because I wanted to and because I thought Jim Martz deserved a column at the paper he worked for 20 years. So to an extent, I adhere to clicks. I want clicks, don't get that wrong, but I will write about stuff that I know is going to do low traffic because I should. Okay, I cover the Panthers home opener because I should. I cover the Marlins home opener because I should. Do I cover a lot of their games? No, but I try to work a balance.
A lot of LeBatard Show articles for someone who doesn't care about clicks.
That's exactly right.
The biggest story of your life is betraying me on my engagement.
That's not, but again, you're...
It got the most clicks.
Did it?
Okay, no, it did not.
It did. What?
No, it did not. I don't believe it did. I'd have to check the click counter.
Definitely.
He's gotta
top five,
research.
right?
Let's
Definitely.
check.
No. Okay, let's be perfectly honest. Yes, I'm going to write about stuff that I know is going to get a lot of clicks, but not to a fault, not to the elimination.
You betrayed me on my engagement.
That's true. Yeah, it did get a lot of clicks. What's wrong with that? I told the truth. Maybe I shouldn't have written it. I wasn't lying.